In early 2023, a new air racing series, Air Race X, was launched by the world's top-level pilots. The new style of spectating was based on the time attack flights flown in real race aircraft around the world using the latest XR technology. A new and unprecedented hyperdimensional motorsport was created. The 2024 series is now in its final round. Experienced champions and a new generation of pilots will battle for the title. The event returns to Shibuya, the site of the first event where the series champion would be decided. The 2024 series is a 3-round series. The accumulation of championship points has led to a fierce battle for the series championship. In Race 1, we saw Patrick Davidson, a pilot still new to air racing, and Emma McDonald from Australia competing for the first time. A veteran group of pilots fought off the challenge of the next generation of pilots. The final was a championship experience between Matt Hall and Yoshi Muroya, with Matt Hall from Australia winning the first match. Race 2 was held on the streets of Edo. In the race, the next generation of pilots made great strides. Emma made it to the semi-finals. Patrick, who has shown rapid improvement since Race 1, moved on to the final. He faced Yoshi, who finished second in the previous race. In the final, Yoshi won with an impressive flight, although Patrick was on his heels till the end. After 2 rounds, the championship point standings are as follows. The championship race is down between Yoshi Muroya, Matt Hall, and Patrick Davidson. So who will win the 2024 series?
Hi, I'm Mike Galloway, and it's my pleasure to be your host for the third and final race of Air Race X 2024. It's the digital round in Shibuya. There's a good look at some of our pilots as they're preparing themselves to race the track. The interesting thing about Air Race X is anything can happen. It's the most exciting event going on in air racing in the world today. I know you will agree. We see where we just came from on the previous 2 races. It all comes down to this, the final race of the season, 2024 in Shibuya. Good look there at some of the new pilots. There's Emma McDonald. There's Patrick Davidson. Those are basically brand new. They're rookies. They're on different sides of the world. There's Patrick. He's in South Africa. Emma, who we saw a moment ago, she lives in Australia. There's our veteran, Juan Velarde, and he is a Spanish pilot. All of our pilots that race in Air Race X are highly qualified and very skilled. There's Yoshi with his team. He's a very, very popular pilot. Obviously, the Japanese is clearly favored to win, but anything can happen like we talked about. All right, there's Emma and Matt going through their rehearsals, as it's very important to have a good strategy for Air Race X. Well, let's take a look at the track.
Race 3, Digital Round, Shibuya. Shibuya, the venue of the Air Race X event, is one of the world's leading cities where diverse cultures are concentrated and the latest fashions and lifestyles are on display for the world to see. It's also the birthplace of Air Race X, and the city is actively embracing the integration of the digital world with the reality of an iconic modern city. Race 3 is set up with a track layout that takes into account the Shibuya area. The start-finish gate is located next to Miyashita Park. Running through the starting gate at a speed of 200 knots. After the start, the pilots will pass through gates 2 and 3. And at gate 4 on the south side of Sakura Stage, they will turn to the right and back towards Shibuya Station. Then, gate 5, near the Scramble intersection, and lap 1 ends at gate 6 with a sharp turn to start lap 2. This turnaround is a high turn that reaches an altitude of over 500 feet. Again, it heads into the direction of Shibuya Station and turns back to gates 7 and 8. Each of these turns tests the skills where the pilots are subjected to a load of up to 12 Gs. Through gate 9, turn around at gate 10 for the final lap 3. The aircraft makes a large left turn, skimming over Shibuya Parko in the direction of Shibuya Station. Continue on to the last big turn, 12, passing between the Sakura Stage and the buildings on the railroad tracks through gate 13 and on to the finish gate next to Miyashita Park. This racetrack consists of 4 pylon sets and 14 gates. In this race, teams participate in time attack locations throughout the world. At each location, teams are responsible for their own maintenance, practice, race strategy, and planning. Detailed flight analysts such as aircraft position, attitude, speed, G is transmitted and accumulated at the headquarters and generated as race data by AirRaceX's proprietary system. With the latest XR technology of the spatial layer platform Styly, we can overlay these flights through a real landscape and reproduce in an actual cityscape.
Qualifying.
All right, so here are all 8 of our race pilots simultaneously going through the track here in Shibuya. You can see that there's going to be a lot of lead changes because, as we saw in the track introduction, there's a lot of very high G turns. That was the first one there. That was a low turn. Watch now as the pilots race back to the start finish. They have to do a high turn here. High turn means 500 feet minimum altitude. They've all negotiated that just fine, but you can see how the pilots are trading positions right now. That's because of the different strategies that they're going to use to get through this racetrack. This is all 8 pilots in their qualifying runs, and you can see it's very tight at the front, but then there's some separation towards the back. That has to do with the pilots, call them their strategies on their turns, and also their ability to withstand the high Gs. If you can't turn, you can't fight. And if you can't turn, you can't race. And that is what's so critical in AirRaceX. You must be able to sustain those high G turns. Okay, here we come. And no surprise there as we have Yoshi and Matt. And looky here, old Patrick Davidson, number 3. Emma McDonald, nicely done. She's up at the top. Martin Shanka, a veteran. Peter Kopstein not doing so well. Oh, wait a minute. Martin Shanka bumps up to 4th. So here are the final results of qualifying. And this is very important because they get World Series points. Yoshi, Matt, and Patrick holding court. These 3 have been the best all year long. Martin Shanka moves back up into 4th position with a very strong time. You would expect him to do well because he is the veteran. All right, we're getting set now for the next phase. It would be the race number 1. So what we have to do now is take these qualifying results and pair our pilots up into the quarterfinal round. Yoshi versus Emma, Matt versus Peter, and so on. So it's going to be very interesting to see how these qualifying heats, the quarterfinal heats shape up. There's a good view of Patrick Davidson. And that's him actually going through the course in South Africa. There's a good shot of Matt Hall. You can see the strain that they go through because they put a lot of G on their bodies. There's Yoshi. always calm and collected, extremely calculating. He has Ben Freelove as his technician, which also helps quite a bit. Okay, there's Yoshi, Matt, and of course Patrick. Here's how they shape up. So Juan and Patty go, Peter and Matt, Yoshi and Emma. That's going to be a tough road for Emma. And Martin and Mika. That's going to be our qualifiers, in the quarterfinal. Well, now that we have the race set, it's going to be interesting to go through what exactly are the rules and how is this game played. If you're new to Air Race X, which hopefully you are, then you will find out that the Air Race X is something that is completely different than any other air racing that you'll see out there. This is the digital round in Shibuya. It's going to be very unique because you can view this live on your VR goggles. All right, let's check in.
The speed limit for passing through the start gate is 200 knots without penalties. Over 203 knots, the race will be stopped. The digital pylons are positioned 24 meters apart. When a pilot hits one of these digital pylons, they are awarded a 3-second penalty. If a pilot ascends more than 10 degrees or descends more than 5 degrees, they will be penalized. If a pilot exceeds 12 G or more, they are disqualified. They must then stop the race and inspect the plane immediately. Air Race X uses a special system of judging to ensure that teams fly competitively at their bases around the world. Air Race X has developed its unique handicap system. The altitude of each location, air temperature, and air pressure at the time of flight, and other factors are converted to a numerical time value using a proprietary algorithm based on international standard atmospheric conditions. For each flight, a handicap time is assigned to the pilot's time to create a fair situation that allows the near identical conditions no matter where in the world the pilots are flying. The handicap gives the two planes different starting times. So the pilot with the higher handicap time will start ahead on screen. The finish shows the true results, not accounting for penalties.
All right, so that's how the game is played, and there are our top three. Yoshi on the left, Matt Hall, and Patrick Davidson. And this is live shots. These are the actual shots of them doing their qualifying runs. They have 10 days to get all these races completed, all their runs completed, that is. And you can see that it takes a team effort. I mean, Yoshi's just not out there flying by himself. He's got a whole team with him that helps give him the strategies. There's Matt Hall with Emma McDonald. They're good friends. You know, Emma actually flies Matt's old MX. Matt in the Edge 540 this year. So there he is taking off. And like it was explained, the weather is never exactly the same from one track, from one person to the next. So they have a handicap system that allows and factors in the different atmospheric conditions. Speaking of atmospheric conditions, this man right here, Patrick Davidson, had some geo-solar problems and almost didn't get a chance to race due to the problem with his GPS. But anyway, here we go. It is Yoshi, Matt, and Patrick each getting championship points. You can see at 67, Yoshi's in a pretty good spot, but Matt Hall could clearly overtake him if it comes down to a Matt Hall victory and Yoshi not doing so well. So in other words, Matt can actually overtake Yoshi. Patrick could possibly get into second place. But right now, the man that is sitting in the catbird seat, as they say, is Yoshi Moroya from Japan. Looking forward to this exciting digital round, the final race of 2024 in Shibuya. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how everything shakes out because, like we say, the pilots are going to be flying in their respective home countries, but everything is going to be augmented and put together in one tight package. So here we go.
Air Race X 2024 Series Quarterfinal.
Quarterfinal, Heat A. Number 77, Team 77, South Africa. In race 2, Patrick became the first of the new generation of pilots to make it to the finals. Patrick has grit and determination and air racing skills that sees him placed in the top 3 of the series championship. Will South Africa have the first Air Race X series champion?
Yeah, so race 2 for us was, a successful race. Obviously, getting faster and faster through the practice and then the quali, and then improving, through the quarters and semis, and then she came and ruined the day. I'm racing against myself, against the clock. It's only me that can make a mistake. It's only me that can, go fast. It's only, me and my team that can prepare the airplane properly. So, the people who I'm racing against are, no disrespect to them, are not really important to me right now. But, we have a focus, we have a goal, and we're going to try our best to achieve it.
Number 26, Team Velarde, Spain. A very experienced pilot flying as an airline captain, Juan's free time sees him performing aerobatics at air shows. Juan and his team were constrained for racing due to Spain's autumn weather conditions. However, were able to set a competitive time for qualifying in race 3, placing 5th position.
Well, I think the race 3 track is very challenging. We have many high G turns, and that's where you can win or lose a race. So we have to focus especially in managing the Gs, getting good angles in the gates, and also we can play a lot with the tilt of the vertical turns. So you can go from vertical to almost flat, and that will be the key elements in this race.
Very, very interesting to hear that from Juan, and he is correct. There's a lot of very, very high G turns, and you'll see that as they go through the track in their race. Will give you their actual G load in real time. Patrick's interesting. So he is doing the walkthrough the old school way with a series of Red Bull cans on the ground. Juan's a little more sophisticated. Now, this is how they do it. You can see the markers on the ground. That simulates the actual pylons. See how fast they're turning the airplane. Kind of interesting to check it out. Now, different atmospheric conditions. Patty on the left, a beautiful sky. Juan on the right, a little bit of an overcast, but that can play to your advantage. All right, here we go, folks. This is how we do it. Now we bring in Shibuya, and check it out. Digital round, look up in the sky, and you're going to see these planes fly. There they go, 200 knots as our opening speed is right on the money. Juan Velarde, Patrick Davidson, they're neck and neck. That's that big high G turn, 10.7 Gs as they complete the first lap. Back now through gate number 6. This is the high turn. They must go to an altitude of 500 feet. That's important. Looks like there could have been a little bit of an issue there with Juan. Not too sure. They're still neck and neck. There's Patrick Davidson. This is his course run. Course over in South Africa. Let's get back to Shibuya. There we are. All right, they're very, very close. They're going to go back to the start-finish gate one more time and go outbound through the city. Look up at the sky and you'll see them. There they are, coming through. There's 14 total gates. The final push for home, their final turn, and here it is. And Patrick Davidson with a clear lead. Yes, sir. One more gate. Patrick Davidson looks like he's taken the lead from Juan Velarde. Let's check in with the official results. Sometimes you can get assessed a penalty, and the penalty doesn't come in until a little bit later in the race run. That's because the officials have to be certain if a pylon hit was made, if they were ascending or descending through a gate. That's important. There's Juan Velarde. Seems satisfied with this run. There's the finish. Patrick Davidson in the lead ahead of Juan Velarde. So if things stand, yes, 64. Oh my goodness. That is a record for Patrick Davidson, the fastest time he's run on the track. 66 seconds for Juan Velarde, and no penalties by either pilot. That is a good, clean run. Let's see the replay. Now, Juan Velarde has a slight advantage, so there he goes. He's in the lead. That's due to the atmospheric changes, the atmospheric differences in the actual venue where they race the airplanes, their home country, if you will. There's that outbound leg, and look at those big Gs they pulled, 10.7 Gs. That is impressive. Very, very strong, very hard on the body when you pull 10 Gs. But believe me, I can tell you, I've done it with experience. All right, here we come. That's the high turn. They have to be 500 feet. Both of them are. And it's neck and neck at this point. You can see the overall result was very close anyway, with just a little bit over a second separating first and the winner and the loser. But this is where Patrick Davidson makes his mark. See that turn? He just simply turns inside of Juan Velarde. It's just very, very savvy how he controls that airplane. You have to be very aggressive. One more time, they're going to do a low turn and go outbound. You can see they're kind of holding court right now, but Patrick Davidson sort of extending his lead right there, and that's due to his ability to turn the airplane. I'm impressed that it's a clean run. Check it out as they come through the final turn, the final gates, and it's a final push for home. Well done by Patrick Davidson from South Africa. As we see the final result coming in, there he is. Patrick Davidson finishes first. He moves on to the semifinals. Juan Velarde, not a bad run at all for the Spaniard. You know, he's a veteran, but it just wasn't quite enough to overtake our man, Patrick Davidson.
Quarterfinal, Heat B. Number 8, Red Bull Team Schonka, Czech Republic. The 2018 champion of the Air Racing World Championships. He developed his world-class flying skills as a Czech Air Force pilot. Martin's air racing techniques are honed to perfection. His expert knowledge of what is required to win are legendary.
Yeah, it's always a little bit about luck in this kind of like racing. The one who will get the best wind conditions have a big advantage. So, but still you have to fly as good as possible. So yeah, whoever out of the pilot field is just great opponent, and I'm very happy to compete with them.
Number 11, 11 Racing, France. Mika's precision and agility in flight is wondrous to see. Flying since he was 11, his skills are finely tuned, and he has the ability to post competitive times. Mika is a pilot to watch. Will the French pilot make a strong impression to the air racing fans? Let's see.
We ended this race number 2 with the focus of being prepared for Air Race 6 number 3. I'm flying the track in the south of the field. The track is composed of 14 gates. Really interesting fast line in the middle of the track, and super challenging high and high G turn at both ends of the track. It's where the strategy is made. Being fast in those turns, it's where you win or you lose everything.
Well, here we go. Quarterfinal Heat B. Martin Schonka, Mika Bracho. You know, Martin's got a lot of experience, more so than Mika. But Mika's, he's a savvy pilot. There they are, about to enter the track. Very nice conditions for both pilots when they're making their run. All right, here we go. We're looking for 200 knots on the start speed. Don't exceed it. There is a slight handicap, but not much. You can see they're pretty much neck and neck at the start. Martin Schonka in the Red Bull branded Edge 540. Mika Bracho in the MX aircraft. Nice turn by Martin Schanke. Holy moly, that looked good. Oh no, that could have been a pylon hit. We'll have to see Martin Schanke, a potential pylon hit on gate number 7. We will have to see. They're going back through, coming back through the course. Neck and neck. Now again, we're going to get their raw data, and then if there are penalties assessed, they'll be assessed at the end of the run. All right, coming back through the second lap of the track. Martin Schanke and Mika Brasho. Mika's now taking the lead. All right, outbound for the final time. And it's just a simple matter of getting the airplane turned correctly and heading in the right direction. And man, does he do it very well. Mika Brasho coming into gate 11. Oh no, Mika has a pylon hit. It looks like another pylon hit. And Martin has a second pylon hit. Holy moly, let's take a look at this finish. This is going to be close. Oh my, 71-second run by Mika. 3-second penalty like we talked about. He had a pylon hit, but this man is going to be sorely disappointed. 2 pylon hits. I am told gate 7 and 12. Unbelievable from the veteran. He would have had the race won. They had it made in the shade, but they hit the pylon. There's the finish. You can see how close it is, but not with 6 penalty seconds. Had he not hit the pylons, he clearly would have won. 6 seconds is an eternity in Air Race X. Mika Brasho almost gave his advantage away by hitting a pylon himself. He did that on gate number 11. But anyway, looking at the replay, it's hard to tell exactly where the things went wrong for both pilots. I think they got a little bit behind the power curve when they made their turns coming into gates 7 and 11. It's going to be kind of hard to see, but if you look in the sky, you'll see the airplanes racing. It's hard to tell if they hit a pylon because the pylons don't technically deflate like they do in real life. But there they go. They're neck and neck. This race ultimately came down to who had the fewer penalty seconds applied. And in this case, it was Mika Brasho. Otherwise, they pretty much are holding serve. They're very, very close. As you can see, a nice turns there as they come over the top, back to the start-finish gate to set themselves up one more time for their final lap around the track. There it is, the last turn. That's a low turn, outbound. And this is where it gets really interesting because on gate 11 and 12, it's a simultaneous bam-bam pylon hit. Mika hits 11 and Martin hits 12. Unbelievable. Had Martin simply not hit 12, it would have possibly been a win. See how close their times are. Can't quite see in the replay, but there it is. 3 seconds, bam! And what a shame. All right. So, drama unfolding in Shibuya. Digital round, race number 3. Hey, I promised everyone exciting racing, and that's exactly what we have here. Amazing how it comes all the way down to, oftentimes it comes down to who has the fewer penalties. And in this case, it was Mika Brasho.
Well, my father was an airline pilot and very passionate about sports aviation and general aviation as well. So since I was a kid, it was clear to me that I wanted to fly. ¿Cómo estoy pasando la altura de las pilotas en general?
Y aquí no jugamos tanto.
Vale, es que te marqué luego acelerar. Yeah, for me it was the most surprising of it. I think the investment in technology that is behind this project is amazing. And finally, as I said, the differences between pilots are tenths of a second, maybe hundreds of a second sometimes, like in a real race. So the technology involved is amazing. As a race pilot, I focus in taking attention to every detail involved in racing. So my flying technique, the flight analysis, which is really important, and also the teamwork. I think I would say those are my strengths and the team's strengths. Yeah, for me, air racing is the maximum expression of flying technique. So you really have to do your best. You have to put everything you have in order to navigate that track as fast as possible, and every detail is important. So you have to be at your 120% every time, and that's what I love about it. Yeah, it's very demanding, but also very rewarding. Flying without real pylons, it makes our life more difficult. So the flying technique as well is a little bit different, because it's easier to come into the gates with what we call bank, leaning the wing of the airplane to see the marks in the ground. We don't see the pylons, but we know where the marks are, and we have to look for them. And still, the reaction is really quick, because we have to change the direction of the airplane every 2 seconds. So it's just 200 meters apart. We are getting used to this type of flying, and at least in the few flights I've done so far, I've been feeling much more comfortable than in the first edition. So I'm pretty sure the audience could see that difference, because we're flying faster, we're doing better flights, so probably the competitiveness of this competition is going to grow up and get higher and higher. Verás que he abierto la trayectoria porque...
Quarterfinal, Heat C. Number 95, Matt Hall Racing, Australia. Matt is an experienced elite pilot from the Royal Australian Air Force and can be seen in speaking engagements and air shows all over the South Pacific. The best lap time in Race 1 saw him win, and in Race 2 his results placed him third after a very close race. There's nothing to stop this exceptional pilot taking out the series championship.
So when we're in the racetrack, really, once you're in the track itself, there's no strategy. Once you're in the track itself, it's execute the plan. The strategy is done in the week and the days leading up to the flight, of knowing what line you're going to fly, and just make sure that's correctly cemented in your head, so that when you go and do it, you're not thinking about anything really. And that's the way to fly the best in the track, is not be thinking anymore. You're just purely executing. I'd be lying if I said that all the pilots are thinking this is exactly what we want to be.
Number 18, Kopstein Racing, Czech Republic. Petr Kopstein is a skilled pilot who has won many national competitions in the Czech Republic. We have not seen Petr in the top 4 this series yet, but will he be able to show his true potential and high racing skills and grab that victory?
Analyzing everything after every flight, analyzing every turn, every climb, speeds, Gs, and after a while you get pretty confident in the track, but to brush off the last tenths and seconds to be the quickest, that's the hardest part, of course. So I think without the data you wouldn't be able to really say what section and what part was flown better than at the flight before. So I think it's crucial for the analytics to see the data and analyze how to get quicker.
All right, here we go. We are set for qualifying Heat C. Not qualifying, of course, quarterfinal Heat C. Matt Hall and Peter Kopstein. Now, Peter's got his work cut out for him. There's no doubt about that. But, the main thing is what we just saw in the previous quarterfinal is you got to have a clean race. Those two pilots that just raced were not clean runs. And it really came down who had the fewer errors, the fewer penalties. So let's see if we can go penalty-free on this one. Matt Hall and Peter Kopstein from the Czech Republic. Coming in, slight difference in start because of the difference in barometric pressures and things of that nature. So that's the handicap system. But right now it's looking pretty good for Matt Hall, as he makes a very strong turn there and overtook Peter Kopstein on the first low turning maneuver. Now, this is a high turn. Oh, man, look how high Peter Kopstein goes. That is a big-time error. Matt Hall, you have to go 500 feet, and Matt Hall went 500 feet in 1 inch. Peter Kopstein almost went 1,000 feet. You cannot do that, Peter. That is going to make that race course further than it needs to be, and that is why Matt Hall has a comfortable lead now. Big, hard 9G pull. There's a 10G pull by Peter. Coming back outbound again. This is not setting up to be much of a race. And there's really no errors here other than the strategy from Peter Kopstein on that big high turn. He was just a little bit too high. Man, Matt Hall is really flying fast. Let's see what his time comes in. There's Matt. And there's Peter. Holy moly, 63 and change. We have not seen a pilot, not one, run less than 64 seconds. Matt Hall just set a course record in Shibuya at 63.775, I believe. Penalty-free, they both were. There's Matt, and you can almost count your fingers and your toes when Peter Kopstein comes through. We're still waiting on him. Oh, there he is, Peter Kopstein. But no penalty seconds. That's a good, clean run. But still 6 seconds, almost 6 seconds faster is Matt Hall than Peter Kopstein. And I'm going to tell you, that is an impressive race right there. That is quite great. That's a track record. Let's take a look at the replay. There he is, Peter Kopstein. Now, he has the advantage, as you can see. And everything's looking good for Peter until right here. Check out this turn from Matt Hall. You ready? Here we go. Watch how Matt Hall, he has a low turn, and he overtakes Peter on that turn. I mean, that is amazing how Matt Hall can fly that airplane. And from here on out, it was all Matt Hall. But at the beginning, you saw there was a huge advantage for Peter. But it was just not enough. That's that big high turn from a different angle. You can see how high Peter went. That's just not going to get it done. You have to be very, very disciplined when you race this track. But it's okay. I mean, there's a lot of energy. These pilots are hungry. They want to win the race. Sometimes errors are made. But rather than focus on that, let's focus on the clean flying of Matt Hall. My goodness, 63 seconds and change. He's coming for his final turn. Another awesome turn. Matt alluded to that in his interviews, that you got to be able to withstand those high Gs, and he can. Final trip, his final turn, penalty-free, which is awesome to see. And here he goes, Matt Hall. Easily on to the semifinal round with 63.775. I have to admit, I am impressed.
Quarterfinal, Heat D. Number 31, Lexus Pathfinder Air Racing, Japan. Air Race World Championships 2017 champion. He became the first Asian pilot to achieve the feat of world champion. Air Race X 2024 series has seen Yoshi place second in Race 1, and with a win in Race 2, he is currently the points leader. It will be hard to take your eyes off this battle of Yoshi for the series championship.
If I'm the third or fourth place, then the strategy will be different. We need tactics to win the title, but we are in a best position on top of the others. So just go fast and put the time. That's it. It doesn't make any pressure to me, but it's as expected. But I have to stick with my plan and be focused and stay calm and go.
Number 86, Beyond Gravity, Australia. Emma is the 2024 newcomer and the first female Air Racing X pilot. She's making waves amongst her more experienced peers. In Race 2, Emma made it to the semi-finals and showed she had what it takes to be a champion.
It was all about my mental prep for this one. So again, trying to bring what I learned in Race 1 to Race 2 and then applying it again in Race 3 just to get into that routine of making sure everything's working correctly with myself, my checks are working correctly, my prep is putting me in the right headspace for when I'm out in the track, and then being able to deliver that once I'm in the track has been the key. It was a fantastic season. Being the first time in the racetracks, always a highlight, and then to be able to put down some times that I'm really happy and proud of is also something really something to be proud of, but also the team. I wouldn't have been able to do this without the team. The team have helped me just be the pilot, so without these guys supporting me throughout the time, I wouldn't have been able to do it otherwise.
Well, she's going to need all the support she can get as she has to go up against the man, Yoshi Moriya from Japan, Emma McDonald from Australia, the rookie. Very close on the handicap, so no real advantage one pilot to the other. They have very similar atmospheric conditions, as you can see in their live cockpit cam. Beautiful day, both in Australia and in Japan. Now, this is going to be interesting because Emma's really getting thrown into the fire here, because to go up against Yoshi is hard enough when you're battling dares to start. Both beautiful at 200 knots. It's hard enough to compete against Yoshi on the track, but to compete against Yoshi in his home country is almost impossible. All right, here we go. There they go for the first turn, and looks pretty solid. Emma's doing pretty well at the moment. Looks like a possible descending through gate number 4 for Emma McDonald. Oh no, Emma, don't get a penalty. It doesn't matter because Yoshi's kind of getting ahead anyway. It looks like Emma was descending through gate number 4. Coming back through, they're kind of neck and neck. She's doing a pretty good job. Don't descend again. A possible penalty from Emma on gate number 9. We'll see. They're pretty close at this point, but remember the penalties. Oh my goodness, you just can't have those. Back on the outbound portion of the track one last time. It's going to be a push for there's the 2-second descending through. That's right. It takes a minute for the race stewards to assess the penalties. And there's where we saw it. There's the final pushed foam. Pretty close race, but really it's not going to be so much with Emma. I have her at 2 penalties, which I think is going to be a total of 4 seconds added to her time. Good view of Yoshi. He's just so calm. Look at the guy. He does not get excited. There's Emma. She feels pretty good about it, but at this point she doesn't know. All right, let's go through the replay. No, that's the finish, rather. There's Yoshi. Just ahead of Emma, but we were right. 4 seconds of penalty. Oh man, had she not had those 4 seconds, that would have been a really tight race. It was anyway, but when you factor in those 4 seconds, there's just no overcoming that. Let's see if we can find it on the replay. I had her descending through gate 4. Okay, it's a great start. There's gate 2. 3, we may not be able to see it here on gate 4. Possibly, yeah, it looks like she was descending there. That's okay. She's the rookie. She'll learn from it. You gotta learn from your mistakes, if you will. All right, coming back. This is going to be the high turn maneuver. They're really flying very similar race runs at this point. Emma flying very well. You can see she's in the MX airplane that has the winglets, very distinctive looking aircraft. Yoshi in the Edge 540. But he just can turn. He is so solid on his turning maneuvers that it's almost impossible to beat Yoshi. And like I was trying to allude to earlier, it was hard for me to say, but what I was trying to say is Yoshi is having a home field advantage. He is flying in Shibuya. This is his home court. He is excited. He has a lot of race fans here, everyone rooting for him. And it's just hard to overcome those type of situations where everyone's rooting for Yoshi to win. Nicely done there by Yoshi as he comes over the top for the final turn. What I meant to say, the intangibles, all the intangibles that play into a race. And you can see the finish is actually quite close, but here again, they do have their penalty times. So at the end of the day, Yoshi carries on to the semifinal. There he is in the race crew pushing him back in his hangar. Look at this, a beautiful day in Japan. Weather is so nice, he's happy. There's Emma going, what went wrong? Well, you did a good job. And she has to push her own plane in. That's what you get.
Wow, so what an amazing quarterfinals. Matt has laid down the fastest time of 63 seconds. He's the only pilot to do so. Pat and Yoshi are close on his heels at 64-second times. And here we go. Yoshi's flying in his quarterfinals. You can see him there. He is smooth. So who will go on from the semifinals? So we're about to go into the semifinals. Patrick is going through his course with his Red Bull cans, and Mika, you can see some really good flying from Mika. He has some challenges to go through. He's flying in Spain, and Peter Kopstein, he's flying in Czechoslovakia, and it's amazing how all these pilots, Emma flying in Australia, so how all these pilots are flying throughout the world and still getting some really amazing times. This is the Ghost. It's an amazing flight to see Mika in front as they're flying together, these pilots. And Yuan, these pilots are pulling huge Gs, going through amazing times, and to get to where they're going. So Yoshi, he's also a favorite here. He's being pushed into the hangar. His team helps him throughout the course. These quarterfinals are amazing to see that all these pilots from all around the world are able to compete together in Air Race X. So on to the quarterfinals, on to the semifinals, and who will be the winner?
Take two, take three. How did you do that? Haha! Arigatou gozaimasu! Very good. I mean, when I got the email and the call for the Air Race X organization coming up with the projects of real and virtual racing was something really exciting, because we were sitting in the hangar with the race plane ready, and finally something showed up. So yeah, you know, we are passionate about flying, racing, and as soon as we can put everything into a performance thing, it's all in. So yeah, we were super happy. Air Race X is a different concept from what we knew before, what we were doing before, with physically pylons in the track. We had to readapt ourselves to change our mindsets and fly with markers on the ground. But it's a different visualization, because you have different objects on ground, not obstacles. But you have still to be precise on your path, fast on your lines, and make everything like normal.
without the pilots. But at the end, when you pass this finish gate and you get your instant results of what you've been doing in the track, it's like, okay, I was racing. And then run after run, it becomes like normal at the end of the flying session. So Air Race X is an air race. We are on the way of this with a really efficient but simple system that works pretty well in the track. So yeah, I think the future will be that, to join everyone and make again the racing atmosphere and spirit back together on the same side, racing against the clock. Everyone aiming at the same goal, on the same side, you get the full experience and excitement of the sport. Provide them the best of the race for them to feel the race atmosphere. We are doing our best. We are flying fast, as clean as we can, to provide the best timings, and then we just have to make them feel like they are with us. And if we can share everything together, worldwide, pilots, spectators, fans, teams, everyone, that would be like something amazing.
All right, let's check out the awesome viewing venues. You can see all the different locations where you can view the race live. This is a digital round, so you can take whatever it is necessary to view the race, your goggles, your glasses. You know what I'm talking about. And you can watch at all these different venues and check it out. Eyes in the Sky Shibuya.
Air Race X 2024 Series Semi-Final.
Semi-final, Heat A.
All right, here we go. Matt Hall against Patrick Davidson. So, it's interesting. See that little ladder Matt has? We'll talk about that in a minute. Why he has that little step ladder to get into his airplane. I think that's interesting. Great day in Australia for Matt Hall. He likes the winglets, and not every pilot flies with the winglets. Some do, some don't. Matt seems to think there's an advantage. You can see the winglets on Patrick's airplane, completely different design. Both flying the Edge 540, but you do have some variances in the way you set up your airplane. They have the exact same horsepower, so you can't just have an airplane with more engine and horsepower and win every race. They have to have the same horsepower. But you can do subtle differences to make your race plane, at least in your theory, a little bit quicker. All right, here we go. Matt Hall, Patrick Davidson. Now remember, Matt Hall laid down a blistering fast time in the quarterfinal of 63 and change. But Patrick Davidson has been flying faster and faster on each ensuing run. So let's see if Patrick Davidson can find something, that intangible that we're looking for, to push him over the top and carry on to the final. Here we go. All right, very, very nice start. Exactly at that 200 knot level. Close race. Patrick Davidson looking strong. Look at that G-forces, folks. 11 Gs, and they're neck and neck. Oh, yeah, Patrick Davidson and Matt Hall. I figured this would be a tight race. Another 11G pull. Holy moly, they're going for it. No doubt about it. There's Patty in the lead. Patrick Davidson so far holding court. He's in the lead. But Matt Hall, the man that can turn, Looks like he just overtook Patrick Davidson on that last turning maneuver, and he did. Now we have the final push for home, but look how close this is, folks. How close do you like Air Race X? One more time outbound. Now Matt Hall has found that intangible. That's that turning maneuver that puts him ahead. The G's a little bit lower now because they've slowed themselves down going through the racetrack, so they can't quite get that 11G, and there's the finish. And it looks like Matt Hall, yes, 64, not his fastest run, but certainly a very fast run. No, in 66 seconds for Patrick, no penalties, penalty-free. Matt Hall, very excited. Of course you would be. You're going on to the finals on the final race. That's some views of Patrick Davidson and his crew. Now here we are, that's the end result. Matt Hall, this is a very tight race. I mean, how close do you like it? I mean, that is flawless flying, no penalties, great times by both pilots. I mean, that's what this whole thing's about, excitement. Let's look at the replay and see how it all went down. Now remember, Patrick Davidson starts with the lead, and he was able to hold on to that lead for a good portion of the race. No penalties throughout this race, so it all comes down to strategy and who can make the turning maneuver the better. Everyone was concerned about the high G turns on this track, and that's because of the 14 gates. You have 5 very hard turns. Patrick Davidson still holding his serve, making a good turn there, maintaining his advantage. It's hard to tell right there. They're basically neck and neck. But this is the turn that Matt Hall is so good at. Watch here, it's Matt Hall. Yanks and banks, as they say, pulls back hard on the stick. That's that 11G turn, and that's where he got the advantage. You can see he's got just enough advantage. There's no catching Matt Hall at this point. Final turn to make. They're going to go outbound on the course for the last time, and Matt Hall kind of comfortably in front. But Patrick's sort of trying to catch him a little bit, so it's not over till it's over. But that's where we saw Matt Hall. He's just so good. Ooh, looks like he had a little bit of a stall, high-speed stall there. That is possible. It does happen. I didn't catch that in the actual race, but in the replay we can see it. All right, there he goes, Matt Hall and Patrick Davidson. What a great race. It's what it's all about. You know, when you talk about Air Race X, it all comes down to the drama. And when you have people like Matt Hall and Patrick Davidson, Patrick being a rookie to the sport, and Matt Hall being the veteran, it doesn't matter. They're such skilled pilots. There's Patrick Davidson at his home court. All right.
Semi-final, Heat B.
All right, here we go. Semi-final round. It's going to be a good one. This is the second round. It's going to be Yoshi Miroya versus Mika Brajo. We have already established that Matt Hall is going into the final. Who will he race against? Will it be this man, Yoshi Miroya? Look at how laser focused he is. You know, it's kind of interesting. The pilots rehearse over and over and over in their head this racetrack. And so when they actually get in the airplane, it should just be second nature. It's just a matter of conducting business. Mika Brajo doing the exact same thing. It's a big mental game, ladies and gentlemen. This air race, although it is physical, it is also extremely mental. You have to be able to trust your instincts. There's Mika Brajo from France. Very, very solid pilot, outstanding aerobatic pilot, along with all of these pilots, that is. I mean, and he's going to be ready to tackle the course. There we go. Yoshi and Mika. Should be an interesting one. All right, here we go. Beautiful weather for both pilots. As we enter the track, check it out. Look in the skies, Shibuya. Here we go. Neck and neck. All right, good start. Looks like Mika's got a slight advantage. And it's close. Whoa, Yoshi Where did he find that speed? Looks like he overtook Mika on a straightaway. That's kind of unusual. As you're going through the inward bound for the high turn. Oh, Mika, no. That's where he lost it, folks. You can see, we'll go on the replay and talk about that. But that is not going to get it done. Not when you pull that late through a gate. There he is. All right, so we can see that it looks like Mika made a big mistake there on his turn, but we'll break that down. Yoshi with a huge lead. Wow. He's almost lapping the field here. I've never seen such a huge lead in an Air Race X race. This is amazing. There's Yoshi. They're going to crisscross. Oh, my goodness. Did you see that? Yoshi is so far ahead, and he's finished the race. Look at this. Yoshi's already finished the race, and here comes Mika. Where did it go wrong? Oh, no, and it looks like he had a descending through gate 12. Oh, no, it was just a bad day at the office for Mika. Yoshi, so calm and cool and collected, easily carries on to the finals. Mika has got to be disappointed with that run, but where did it all go wrong? We'll see in the replay. It's very, very interesting. As you can see, 64 seconds for Yoshi. And there goes Mika finally through the track, and he's at 81 seconds with 2 penalties. It looks like the start gate got him and the finish gate got him, or gate number 12 got him. It looks like he had some descending through the gates. It's hard to tell, but we'll see it in the replay here. 81 seconds, that's a while for Mika Brujot. But 64 seconds is a very strong race for Yoshi. And that's going to put him up against Matt Hall. And quite frankly, folks, they both have been running at that 64-second pace. We'll talk more about it when that race unfolds. Here's where Mika lost it. He waited way too long to make that turn. See how long he waited after he went through the gate to make that turn. You just can't do that. I mean, you're just putting additional real estate onto the racetrack, and it's just something you can't overcome. Here's the cool part where they crisscross. I've never seen this before. Or they're about to, anyway. Here goes Yoshi. Now, Yoshi's on the outward leg. Watch Yoshi here on the outward leg. And there's where they crisscross. There goes Mika back through. He hadn't even made it to the outward leg, the final round, the final leg yet. All right, coming back through on the turn. Nice turn. Man, Yoshi's just so smooth. And here they go again one more time. Howdy, wave at each other, bread and butter, there they go. All right, Yoshi Moroya easily through to the final round to battle against Matt Hall. Mika did not have the race he was looking for, but Mika still, hey, he has a lot to be thankful for. It's going to put him in 4th position overall, we know that, because Patrick Davidson clearly flew faster than 81 seconds. So Patrick, we know, is going to get on the podium. Mika just off, but they did both make it to the finals. All right, there's a good look at Yoshi. All right, we're setting ourselves up. It's going to be exciting. All right, so it comes down to Matt Hall versus Yoshi Moroya. And you can see Matt Hall in Australia going through the track. I'm telling you, man, these people are pulling some G's. Look at the strain on his body. We saw Matt do 11.7 G's. Good view of Patrick Davidson. He actually had a great race, the digital round, race number 3. He's been good all season long, but he'll be proud of himself. All right, this is a cool thing. This is the ghost race between Matt Hall and Patrick Davidson. That's actually the tail cam of Patrick Davidson, and that's really him flying the airplane. You can see the folks on the ground to make certain that he sees those markers that dictate the gates. Yoshi Moroya, oh man, you know he's going to be ready for it. He is perhaps the smoothest cat flying an air race today. No doubt about it, but he's going to be up against it, man. With Matt Hall, I am telling you, Matt Hall laid down the fastest time at 63 seconds, but look at the concentration we were talking about. downloading the data that's so important. You know, the race really, if you ask these pilots, it's really won or lost on the ground because they have to develop their strategy ahead of time. That's a good shot of Mika Rajo. He just did not have a good run, sadly, on his semifinal run, but that's okay. He's going to take that experience and learn from it as he goes back and sets himself up for the 2025 season. But it's great aerial view. All right, there they are, crisscrossing. I love it. That is so cool. All right, we're getting set.
Air Race X 2024 Series Final.
All right, here we go. It all comes down to this. They had the quarterfinal, they had the semifinal, and it comes down to Matt Hall and Yoshi Moroya. Oh, see the step stool? I wanted to talk to you about that. He uses that step stool because to eliminate drag, well, all pilots do, honestly. What they do is they take off the step of their airplane. So that just reduces a little bit of drag.
Final.
All right, Matt Hall gearing up. There's Emma in the background. They share the same hangar. Yep, there's a step stool. I love it. This is so funny. But it's important. He has to bring his little step stool to get into the airplane. Anyway, just a little subtleties that these pilots go through to make the plane just ever more faster, just as fast as it can possibly be. Here's Matt taking off on a beautiful day in Australia. Great view of the tail cam. I'm telling you, man, the footage has really improved. It's going to be an exciting race. I'm really, honestly, if I were a betting man, I'd have to put my money on this man because he is the fastest lap of 63.75 or 63.77. That was Matt Hall. No one's gone under 64 seconds but Matt. And he's been consistently in that 64 range. There's Yoshi again. A lot of the strategy is done on the ground. He's visualizing, he's mentally preparing himself, he's visualizing the racetrack. There's Yoshi climbing into the cockpit. He uses a step too, by the way. Well, actually all of them do because they don't want the additional drag on their airplane. The concentration that he's going through right now, he is visualizing this track. He's preparing himself mentally. He knows every turn that he's going to make. There's a crowd out there watching him, preparing for his final race. This is going to be a good one, folks. It's going to be a toss-up. I kind of like Matt, although it'd be cool if Yoshi could win in his home country. But I don't know, man. I know he's a great pilot and all, but Matt has just been laying down some fast times. All right, here we go. It is the final, the digital round at Shibuya. The final race of the 2024 season, Matt Hall and Yoshi Moroya. Here we go. Live shot, eyes in the sky. Check it out as they're going to enter the racetrack and they're looking for 200 knots. That's the top speed. Do not exceed it, but it's amazing. They're always right at 200 knots. No real advantage for either pilot, so it's just going to be a neck-and-neck race. Yes, entry speeds are right on the money, just under 200 knots as they go outbound for the first time. And it looks like Yoshi, and look at Matt Hall. What a great turn. That's what he did on the previous rounds. He's so good on that turn. As he gains the advantage, Matt Hall in the lead. This is going to be a tight race, and Yoshi making it up on the downhill leg of the first high turn. I don't believe it. Yoshi, very, very close. And he is going to outmaneuver Matt Hall. Look at this turn, folks. So close. It looks like Yoshi might have a slight advantage. We'll see as they go through. No, Matt Hall still in the lead. Look at Yoshi making that pull. Oh my gosh, 10.8 Gs could be the difference, and Yoshi has found the line. Yoshi's in the lead. Can he hang on? One more lap to go. A final push for home. Who's going to be the winner? It's a neck-and-neck race. How close do you like it, Shibuya? Check it out. And it is Yoshi, barely by a nose. Just fractions of a second ahead of Matt Hall. Oh my goodness, there he is, Yoshi Moroya. So excited for the win. And that was no guarantee, as we saw. They actually changed the lead 4 times during that race. 4 times. That hardly ever happens. Look at the final. Yoshi by a nose. Folks, they're going 220 miles an hour. And that's how close it was. I can't even do the math. That's just a fraction, 4/10 of a second. Oh my goodness, what a great run. Matt Hall, 65 seconds, so it's one of his slower runs, but 64.8 for Yoshi Moroya. You can see that Yoshi started off ahead, but watch this turn right now by Matt Hall. Oh my goodness. He is so good on this turn. Bam! See you later, folks. Look at him get that advantage as he goes back to the start-finish gate, setting himself up for the high turn. Now watch as both pilots negotiate this high turn so well. 500 feet exactly. No one really gets an advantage on that high turn. But Matt Hall has a comfortable lead, but look at Yoshi somehow finding some speed on that downhill leg. And this is where Yoshi gets a little clever. Watch here. Yoshi makes that good turn just inside of Matt, but Matt still has the advantage. They've already changed the lead twice. And here comes the third lead change. As we go to the final turn, watch Yoshi Moroya pull that airplane around on that high G turn. And this is where he finds speed. He is so clever. Right there, Yoshi takes the lead. Now he's got to hold on. It is no guarantee at this point. Yoshi, a final turn. They're both neck and neck. Matt Hall back in the lead momentarily, but then Yoshi picks it up again on the downhill leg. And there we go, folks. Penalty free. Look at Yoshi Moroya. Man, what a great race. I am so excited for both of these pilots. That was absolutely amazing. All right. What a great race. There's Yoshi, as we can see. And we're about to see in just a few seconds here, in a few moments, we're going to see a ghost race. The ghost duel of these two airplanes. There he is. Look at that turn. That's the high turning maneuver from Yoshi. That's him actually doing the course in Japan. And you can see how tight it is as they have to negotiate the course. Of course, they don't know how their competitor is going to fly, but they know they have to fly fast. There's Matt Hall. Man, I'll tell you what, he can really make those flat turns so well. Great view of Matt Hall going through the racetrack. And if you want drama and you want something that is going to be exciting, this is the sport for you. Look at how awesome that is in real time when they're actually racing the course. There's the ghost race I was alluding to. Yoshi slightly in the lead. Look at him going through the track. That is so cool. Matt Hall, this is that high turn maneuver. That is just absolutely incredible. How close this race actually comes down between these two pilots. Well, all the pilots, quite frankly. But to have the final race decided by less than half, well, a fraction of a second, a quarter of a second, or less. That's how close it was. The ghost duel. These pilots are absolutely world-class competitors. But Yoshi Moroya will be the World Series champion for 2024. Matt Hall will be second. And we will have Patrick Davidson in third position. He's happy with that. Look at the G-forces on the bodies. This is no kidding around, folks. When we're talking 10 Gs, 11 Gs, just under 12 Gs, I mean, that is a lot of strain on the human body. But these pilots, they're used to such things. They do this day in and day out. Don't try this at home, as we say. And there it is, the final results. Yoshi with Matt and Patrick. Patrick's got to be so happy. He did a lot of adversarial things happen to Patrick to actually make race number 3, the digital round, happen for him. He had some problems mechanically with the GPS. Well, there we go, the race results. Just how we started. Yoshi, Matt, and Patrick. Mika got 4th. That's good. Juan Velarde, not a bad pass for Juan. He just had some bad luck with a bad draw, who he had to race in the first round. Peter, Emma, and Martin round out the field. Martin with had a little bit of a problem with some penalties on his race. He had 2 pylon strikes, as we saw. But there you go. And the overall points, see how close it was. 92 points for Yoshi, 71 for Pat. That seems like a big difference, but remember, the winner gets 25 points. So let's say they had another race and Matt Hall gets 25 and Yoshi gets a 0, then, everything flip-flops. But anywho, that's the final results. Great round for Yoshi Miroya, 2024 champion of Air Race X. Winning in style. There it is. Lexus Pathfinder Air Racing, number 31 on the books, but number 1 in your heart here in Japan is Yoshi Miroya. Big celebration. There's the crowd that watched him fly. Look at all the media, and he gets pushed back in the hangar. Maybe that's the secret, to have your crew push you back in the hangar. I don't know, but look at the smiles on his face. He is very happy. He knew he had a good run. Yeah. You got to love Yoshi if you ever meet him. Here he is. Yep. He's excited. He knows he did well. Congratulations all around for winning the digital round, the final round of 2024. Great photo opportunity now. Now remember, we're going to have the live. Everyone in Shibuya, we're going to have the award ceremony coming up live here just after the race conclusion. There's that final race one more time. How cool is that? And how close was it? I mean, just an amazing race. This is actually previous races, showing a little bit of the history of how they do. Yeah, there they go. Looks like that's race number 2. Yeah, they battled it out quite a bit. Patrick Davidson battled it out with Yoshi. I think Yoshi knocked him out. That's right, knocked him out of race number 1, I believe. Patrick wanted to return the favor. So this is just a recap of the season. It's been an awesome season. Great venues. And, of course, it all leads to Shibuya. Great scenes from 2024. Remember, the prize giving will be held directly, the award ceremony, after this broadcast. You can find the link below. Don't want to miss that. And I'm told that we're going to have some surprise attendees in Japan. They're going to make themselves there available. Some via Zoom, some in person. There's Matt Hall. Yes, sir. He's going to be happy with this season, no doubt about that. Well, folks, it's been my pleasure to be your narrator, your commentator for Air Race X 2024. I love calling these races. It's so much fun. Juan Velarde, everyone else, all the great pilots, Mika Brujot, even if they don't win, trust me, these are all champions. Very, very strong pilots indeed. And there they are, folks. Check it out on Instagram. There's the website. From Shibuya, my name's Mike Galloway. It's been my pleasure. Have a nice day. We'll see you next year.